Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Today we are coming at you with a 2022 NFL mock draft from yours truly. These picks are with my position rankings, my personal best fits for each team. This is not a predictive mock. There are a few picks that I would have changed if I was trying to predict what teams would do. I thought I'd give you guys some insight on what these teams should be doing and how I view some of these prospects in this 2022 NFL mock draft. Before we get into the draft, thank you guys for all the support you guys have showed to my brother and I on this channel. We love talking ball, college football, the NFL draft. It doesn't matter. We've enjoyed having all those comments in the comment section. So if you guys got one about this video, feel free to drop it below and we'll chop it up in the comment section like we normally do. Let's get into the mock. First overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson. That's pretty chalky. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, for a couple of reasons, this makes sense. One, he's simply the best player on the film. In terms of being a technician rushing the passer, being good in run defense, and just being a guy that you want in that locker room, Aiden Hutchinson, they need a high character guy to kind of change that culture in Jacksonville. I think for all those reasons, I think it makes a lot of sense that Aiden Hutchinson is going to be that first overall pick to the Jaguars. Number two, I have Kayvon Thibodeaux, a guy that's fallen on many people's boards in the media. Scouts, apparently, the NFL might be souring on him a little bit. I'm personally not buying it. I think the Lions would be all over Aiden Hutchinson if he falls to that number two spot. But if he doesn't, I think Kayvon Thibodeaux is a good consolation prize. I'd be shopping the pick if I were the Detroit Lions. However, I don't think that value for that number two overall pick is very high. There's not a stud quarterback that's going to be there. And at the end of the day, Kayvon Thibodeaux, yes, some of the film there went through droughts where he wasn't as productive or as disruptive as you would like. But the talent's there. You see the high end pass rush moves that he has. He's very, very good in the run game. I feel like people don't give him enough credit for that. He kind of checks all the boxes. He came in, had a good workout at the combine in terms of the 40, the bench press. He's still a generational athlete, still the former number one overall recruit in the country. He's still a top end athlete. I'm not really buying into the character concerns. I think that's just been a media narrative that's kind of gotten taken away. I think Detroit Lions would be very comfortable taking Kayvon Thibodeaux number two, and that's where I think they should go. Number three, the Houston Texans. Their position needs are just kind of all over the place. Uh, go get the best player available. Kyle Hamilton allows you to do a lot of different things on defense. Can play center field, cover one, can play man coverage in the slot. He can come up and blitz. He's very good in the run game. 6'4", 220-pound guy. Yeah, the 40 was a little bit slow, but when you watch the film, was it ever concerningly slow? To me, it never was. He just flashes the versatility, the playmaking ability. I mean, when this guy's on the field, he's going to make plays and he's going to help your team be better on defense and win football games. I think for those reasons, Kyle Hamilton to number three makes a lot of sense. And number four, Ike Ekwonu to the Jets, the first tackle off the board. Ike Ekwonu, I think this makes a lot of sense. Mekhi Becton, there's a lot of question marks with the health. There's a lot of question marks if he wants to be there. And Ike Ekwonu, I think, has the highest ceiling of any of these draft prospects. The power that this dude possesses in his hands is freaky. I think he got to clean up a little bit of the footwork and the balance stuff and pass protection, but this was he's been playing tackle for a season and a half. He was playing interior offensive line. I think he's a really special talent, and I wouldn't be very surprised if the Jets go up, get a Kevin Ekwonu to kind of just build around Zach Wilson. Kevin Ekwonu would be the first overall pick in a lot of drafts. I think he's a really talented guy. I don't know if he'd be the first overall pick, but he'd be a very high pick. Evan Neal, he's another guy. Charles Cross, Kevin Ekwonu, Evan Neal, you see them all going there. I don't feel very comfortable picking one out of those three. I think all those three guys are franchise tackles. I think they will be great tackles for any NFL team that takes them. Charles Cross probably being the best pass protector, Kevin Ekwonu being probably the best rogue grader in the run game, and then Evan Neal kind of splitting the difference, being just a solid overall prospect with just a massive body and great athlete for the size. He'll probably play right tackle for them. Now, Charles Cross falls to 6, and this is where I think we asked, why did the Saints make that trade to get 2 first-round picks this year? I think they're looking to trade up. A lot of people are saying they're looking to trade up for a quarterback. I don't think so. They just lost Teron Armstead. I'm thinking they're trading up for one of these elite tackles. I mean, we've seen how important it is to get a tackle who's going to be there for 10-plus years and give you guys Pro Bowl-level seasons. Charles Cross is a guy that can do that, and if he's available at 6, I think the Saints are calling the Panthers to move up and trade for him. Now, I think the Panthers are the team that it makes sense for because they don't have a single pick till the fourth round, and so they're going to be looking for more draft capital. They got a ton of needs that they're not going to fill by taking a guy at 6. I think they could certainly be in the running for a tackle, but I think the Saints are going to give him an offer they can't refuse. Matt Rule probably wouldn't be a fan of it because he probably wants to get better now since his job's on the hot seat. I think the GM, I think the front office will be behind it. I think the Saints are going to be able to get it done, trade up to 6, and get their franchise tackle. At 7, Jermaine Johnson. You guys know how much a fan I am of Jermaine Johnson. I think he's very close to Kayvon Thibodeau for that edge 2 position. Excuse me. Massive tool bag of rush moves. He's extremely good against the run. He tested very well. He's checked every single one of the boxes you need to. I'm not buying into the Trayvon Walker hype that much. I still have him going in the top 15. But I think Jermaine Johnson, in terms of just putting out better film and who's going to be the better pro, I think Jermaine Johnson is going to be a very solid pro. I think he can be a 10-sack-a-year guy and be very good in the run game. I think that fits a lot of what the Giants need. I think they'll go up and get him at 7. Atlanta Falcons at 8. They need a wide receiver. The wide receiver room is just an absolute joke. Now, who's the wide receiver going to be? I think it's going to be Garrett Wilson. He's my wide receiver 1. I think he's the best all-around wide receiver in the league or in the draft class right now in terms of having that it factor, having the ball skills, having the ability to win vertically, having the ability to create separation. I think he checks all those boxes. And for that reason, Garrett Wilson is wide receiver 1 going to the Atlanta Falcons at 8. Malik Willis, first quarterback off the board to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, in terms of a predictive mock, probably wouldn't be predicting Malik Willis to go 9 because Pete Carroll isn't normally a guy to pick a quarterback that likes to play off script. He more favors quarterbacks who are going to take the easy throws. He's not going to let those quarterbacks cook. You know, talking about Russell Wilson letting him cook. Malik Willis is a guy that he likes to cook. He likes to play some backyard football. He likes to make plays out of the pocket. Pete Carroll, it's not his type of guy. But Seattle Seahawks, they're going to be rebuilding for a couple of years. Malik Willis is going to need a couple of years to develop in the NFL until I think he's ready to lead a team to the playoffs. I think it makes sense for both parties. And I think they should take Malik Willis at number 9. Number 10, Chris Olave. Now, you have Sauce Gardner on the board. You didn't go get Kyle Hamilton. I think there's a lot of good arguments to have Kyle Hamilton's not on the board. He goes to the Texans. You have Ahmad Sauce Gardner on the board. You pass up on him. I think they're going to go get wide receiver 2, which in my mind is Chris Olave, a guy who's going to be able to separate, create a lot of easy throws for Zach Wilson. Chris Olave, in terms of being pro-ready, is the most pro-ready guy in the draft class. 4-year start at Ohio State, broke a ton of records there. He just dominated college football for 4 straight years. I think his game translates extremely well to the NFL in terms of running that whole route tree, getting separation. And I think the Jets should take Chris Olave at that number 10 spot. And number 11, Jameson Williams, wide receiver 3 off the board. Get a lot of speed there. Carson Wentz, he's not that good, but what he is good at is pushing the ball downfield. Jameson Williams, Terry McLaurin are going to allow him to do that. I think you're just drafting a guy that, for one, he'll take a little bit because obviously he's recovering from that injury. But he's got game-breaking speed. Speed is the name of the game in the NFL right now. I think they'll take him at number 11. I think they should take him at number 11. Then Trayvon Walker goes to the Vikings. Again, Sauce Gardner's on the board. I think they're going to go get Trayvon Walker because I think a lot of NFL teams are really high on him. Yes, would you like to see a little bit more pass rush production from Trayvon Walker? Absolutely. But this dude's floor is really high. Like, at least you're going to get a stout guy in the run game. There's not a lot of tackles that are going to move him off the spot. He's got some extremely strong hands. He's extremely powerful. His get off is really impressive. And obviously the 4.5 140 is extremely impressive. I think Trayvon Walker makes a lot of sense to the Vikings. Houston Texans go get Sauce Gardner. They're in the business of getting the best player available. Sauce Gardner is a top 10 guy who's falling to 13. Don't overthink it. Go get the next best player, Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Kyle Hamilton, you have an elite secondary, a young group of secondary players who I think you can build around on that defense side of the ball. Jordan Davis to number 14 to the Baltimore Ravens. I think this just makes a lot of sense for a lot of different reasons. The Baltimore Ravens have loved the battleships. Jordan Davis is a battleship. Jordan Davis is an absolute battleship. He's going to be really good in the run game. I think you can teach him how to rush the passer. Like, that athleticism special, you can teach that. You can teach how he can get in the backfield a little bit more. Number 15, George Karlaftis. Yes, Ahmad Sauce Gardner is on the board. You probably go Sauce Gardner here and then get Karlaftis with that next pick. Either way, they go get George Karlaftis, and then they are going to go get Derek Sting. They're going to get Derek Stingley, with that number 18 pick, kind of solving a lot of needs on that team. Could they go linebacker? They absolutely could, but I think you're going to go positional value here. You're going to get George Karlaftis and Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley at 18 is going to be one of the steals of the draft, falling because of injury concerns, character concerns. Derek Stingley is one of the best football players in the country when healthy, when playing his best football. I think getting him at 18 is a great get. Panthers, who traded down from that number 6 spot to 16, they're going to go get Kenny Pickett, the quarterback. Matt Rhule recruited him at Temple when he was coaching at Temple. He was actually originally committed to Matt Rhule at Temple before transferring over to Pitt. Not transferring, but recommitting over to Pitt. Kenny Pickett's a quarterback. He's an NFL-ready QB, the most in the class. The upside might not be as high as a guy like Malik Willis, probably isn't as high as Malik Willis. But in terms of guys I'm confident in coming in week one and starting at a high level, I think Kenny Pickett's the guy. Matt Rhule will probably want to draft a quarterback because you don't want to trot out Sam Darnold. If you do trot out Sam Darnold and you have another losing season, you're probably going to get fired. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Kenny Pickett to go number 16, extend Matt Rhule's runway, and get that young quarterback that you can work to build around. Nakobe Dean, number 17, the Chargers. He's my linebacker one. When it comes to evaluating linebackers, I just look for guys who have the instincts, who are around the football a lot, who make big plays. Nakobe Dean's that kind of guy. Yes, I like Devin Lloyd, but Nakobe Dean film at the SEC level was just absolutely insane. He's dripping with instincts. He goes sideline to sideline extremely well. Yes, he's a little undersized, but he doesn't play undersized. He plays like a big linebacker. He thumps guards who are working up to the next level, tackles extremely well. I love Nakobe Dean as a prospect. People worried about the length or maybe the speed, which I think is nuts because you saw the speed on film. That doesn't matter when you have the instincts that Nakobe Dean has. Now, we talked about the Derek Stingley pick. The Panthers, I like this draft, and then they get Kenny Pickett, the quarterback that they want to build around. And then you get Drake London, who a guy that I'm not as high on. You guys saw that. He's my wide receiver 4. I think he makes a lot of sense for the Panthers. Give Kenny Pickett a really big, reliable target who can kind of win contested balls in tight windows. That's who Drake London is. Another thing that I really like about Drake London's game is after the catch. Like, he's a 6'4", 6'5"-ish, 215-pound wrecking ball. Like, he's really hard to bring down. His yards after the catch kind of remind me like Travis Kelce, where it's not like elite speed or elite quickness, but he's just hard to bring down. He's got great contact balance. The DBs that are trying to tackle him at the next level just kind of like brush off of him. He's just a really strong physical guy. You see that when he's going up for the balls in that 50-50 contested catch stuff. I like a lot about Drake London's game. And then the next trade I have is the Bills, who are just seemingly like a play away from winning a Super Bowl. If that player is available at 20, Trent McDuffie, who's available at 20, saw the DB slide a little. I think the Bills should absolutely trade up for Trent McDuffie. I don't think it's worth waiting to see if he falls to at 25. Just go up and get him. Give whatever you got to do. I think Trent McDuffie makes his team a lot better. He's my CB3 pretty comfortably. The film was absolutely awesome that Trent McDuffie brings to the table. He fits really in with the defense that the Buffalo Bills like to play, that zone coverage. Trent McDuffie played a lot of zone at Washington. In terms of short area quickness, it's just absolutely nuts. Eyes in the backfield, breaking on the ball. He's a very good prospect, and if he's at 20, I think the Bills should absolutely be considering trading up. Kaiir Elam at 21 makes a lot of sense that J.C. Jackson is gone. I think Bill Belichick's going to want a longer, rangier, more physical cornerback. Kaiir Elam ran a 4.39 40. He's got long arms. He's physical. I think he's a Bill Belichick kind of guy, and I trust Bill Belichick draft a corner. Well, I don't necessarily trust Bill Belichick drafting, but I think this is the guy that he's going to be zeroed in on. That or Andrew Booth. Packers go get Treylon Burks at number 22. This makes a lot of sense. I think the Packers need to get a quarterback or a wide receiver. It just wouldn't make sense to sign Aaron Rodgers back, try to make another push for a Super Bowl, and then not surround Aaron Rodgers with the tools that he needs to succeed. Obviously, with Devontae Adams leaving. Treylon Burks, I'm not as high as him as many, but I think most of the NFL is. Treylon Burks is a guy who's really big. He's really good going up contested catches, and he's very good after the catch. In terms of being very physical, he's very fast. If you have the ball in space with him, he's really hard for those DBs to bring down because he's a wrecking crew. He's very big. It's not as fast as you might have thought. I mean, I think a lot of people in the draft community were hoping that he'd run a little bit faster 40 than he did. I think he's still a very good player at 22. I think that's where the Packers should be going. Arizona Cardinals go get Tyler Linderbaum, center out of Iowa. Wherever he goes, it's going to make a lot of sense. Creed Humphrey was a guy that fell because he's playing center, and now he's one of the best centers in the league at Kansas City. I think Tyler Linderbaum, the story is going to be the same. You see a prospect like him who's one of the best players in the draft, if not the best player in the draft, falling to 23 because he plays center. He's going to be one of the best centers in the league. I'm not worried about his size. At the end of the day, he's whatever weight he played at Iowa, I want him playing in the NFL because that was some dominant football that he played. 24, Kenyon Green. You could go Zion Johnson. I'm going Kenyon Green because I want the Cowboys to get back to that rogue rating running game with Ezekiel Elliott getting downfield. Kenyon Green's the most equipped to make this happen. Very, very, very strong guys. Thick lower half, just an absolute wagon on him. He just moves defenders. He's in the business of just absolutely moving defenders off their spot, paving the way for the running back. And I think that'll really help Zeke kind of get going a little bit again because I think I want them to get back to being able to run the football like they did when prime Zeke was in session, you should say. Now, Bills trading back to the Steelers trading back with the Buffalo Bills to that number 25 spot. They're going to go get Trevor Penning, a guy that if he's not ready to play tackle yet, you play him at guard. But I think he could be a tackle in the next couple of years. He's more of a developmental guy. The film wasn't as good as I think many scouts think it was. I wasn't that impressed with it. I watched him against Iowa State. I watched him in the Senior Bowl. Very physical. He's a good athlete. I just think he needs to clean it up a little bit. And I think 25 is a fair spot for him. A guy that's developmental, but I think he can be a great tackle in the NFL if he gets that development in. Now, Zion Johnson, this fits what the Tennessee Titans want to do. Get an interior offensive lineman. He's ready to go week one. That's Zion Johnson. He's going to be he's going to move people. Ben Jones signed a 2-year contract with the Tennessee Titans. I think Zion Johnson can take over the center duties after Ben Jones is out of there. I think this pick makes a lot of sense. Now the Bucs, who probably wanted Zion Johnson, are going to go get Devontae Wyatt, who took a little slide. Devontae Wyatt's good. He's a higher prospect than I have him here. He's a top 20 guy for me. Falling to 27, you pair him up with Vita Vea. That's going to be a wrecking crew of an interior pass rush. I think that makes a lot of sense. Packers, Jahan Dotson, a guy that I'm much higher on than most of the community. I think the Packers want to get Chris Olave. I just don't know if Chris Olave will fall to 22 or 28. A consolation prize will be Jahan Dotson, a guy that is a really good separator, can run the full route tree, can stretch the field vertically, and has great hands. He's a complete wide receiver. Besides, maybe he's a little undersized, but I'm not too worried about that because look at the film at Penn State with Sean Clifford throwing him the ball. He was their offense. I mean, he's a very good wide receiver that I think if he's a Bama wide receiver, he's probably going top 20. Daxton Hill and David Ojabo, 2 Michigan guys to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not wearing my Michigan shirt right now, as you guys can see. Daxton Hill, a guy that can play nickel, can play safety. My safety number 2, just because of how versatile he is, how good he is in man coverage, the ball skills that he showed. He's got some serious burners. And then David Ojabo, a guy that I think would have taken a year in the NFL anyways. He struggles against the run. I think he's got to fill out that frame a little bit more. Obviously, only playing football for, 4 or 5 years. And this was his only year really playing at the college level. Took only like 25 snaps during the COVID year for Michigan. He really put it together this year, obviously towards Achilles, but I think he's going to use that year to kind of take a red shirt, if you will, at the NFL level, fill out that frame, get a thicker lower half, and I think he'll be ready to rock and roll in year 2. Bengals go get Andrew Booth. I think that just makes them 1% better. That's what the Bengals are doing. You were the Super Bowl runner-ups. Get 1% better. See if you can find a guy that's going to put you over the edge. I think Andrew Booth at 31, a position of need, a good prospect that we have a first-round grade on at 31 makes a lot of sense. And then finally, Jaquan Brisker to the Detroit Lions. I think it's a position of need. I think Jaquan Brisker has been slept on a little bit. I think Lewis Steen has kind of overtaken him for that safety number 3 spot. Maybe even the safety number 2 spot over Daxton Hill. At the end of the day, Jaquan Brisker's film at Penn State was dominant. I think it's better than Lewis Cine. Although Lewis Cine is pretty dang good too. Like he'll be going really shortly in the second round. I think it makes the most sense for the Detroit Lions to go get Jaquan Brisker. And that'll do it for the 2022 NFL mock draft. These are my picks, my selections. Obviously, a lot of different ways you could go. I think the Jets could certainly be going to Ahmad Gardner at number 10. I'm not sure about this trade up, but playing around with a couple different picks, a couple different trades that could happen. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. We'll be back with some more NFL draft content shortly. Till then, talk to y'all later. Peace.